Uma Krishnaswamy is an author of picture books and children's novels. A noted author of books with multicultural influences, her books focus primarily on the experiences of Indian and Indian American children and families. Krishnaswamy was born in New Delhi, India in 1956. She moved to the United States with her husband in 1979. She is a member of the faculty at Vermont College of Fine Arts. Besides her children's books, she has written several short stories and articles for children's publications such as Highlights for Children and Cricket Magazine. The first book that I read by Uma Krishnaswamy was Bringing Asha Home. I like this book for several reasons. Not only does it focus on our multicultural theme, but it also features biracial parents, which is becoming even more prevalent in our society. Also, it focuses on international adoption, which is also becoming more prevalent in our society and in our classrooms. Here's a quick synopsis of the book. Have you ever heard of Rakhi Day? It's a holiday celebrated in India where sisters tie bracelets on the wrists of their brothers. They promise to be good to each other and then enjoy sweet treats together. Too bad Michael doesn't have a sister to celebrate with. That is, not yet. You see, exciting things are getting ready to happen for Michael and his family. They're adopting a baby girl all the way from India, where Michael's dad was born. Her name is Asha. The thing is, it just takes so long for all the grown-ups to work things out and to get her here to America. Michael gets frustrated with all of the waiting, but in the end, when Asha brings him his very own Rakhi bracelet, he knows everything is going to be all right. The second book that I read was called Monsoon. In America, we mark the passage of time in 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. In India, they mark the passage of time a different way: the dry season and the wet. In the book Monsoon, the children wait with anticipation for the beginning of the wet season, ushered in with the monsoons. The rain they supply brings an end to the dry, barren dust that covers the cities and countryside. The rain so needed to make the land fertile and rich for crops like rice and mangoes. But monsoons can also bring dangerous and destructive flooding. This book illustrates from a children's perspective the love-hate relationship that the Indians have with the mighty monsoon. I like this book for several reasons. First of all, I thought the pictures were excellent. The illustrations in this book are done by Jamil Akib. I also liked that it was written almost as if in free verse, which I thought was an interesting take on writing a children's book. And third, I really liked the details, both in the text and in the illustrations, that showed some of the cultural aspects of living in India. I thought it was a really good depiction of Indian culture. The next book is probably my favorite book I read during the author study. It's called The Happiest Tree, A Yoga Story. And I like this book so much because I was able to connect with the main character on a personal level. The story is about a little girl who just feels clumsy and awkward. And I feel that way too all the time. I've never been able to dance or do gymnastics or anything like that. So when I read the book, it really had a personal connection for me. Here's a quick synopsis. Have you ever felt like there's something at which you just aren't any good? Well, that's sure the way that Mina feels. Mina feels clumsy and awkward, and what's worse is that there's a school play coming up, and her teacher says everyone has to participate. Mina feels like a failure. She can't even stand up still, straight and tall like a tree. But Mina is lucky. She and her mom take a trip to an Indian grocery, and there they talk to Mrs. Vora, or Auntie as everyone calls her. She introduces Mina to yoga. At first, Mina is scared. Won't this just be something else she can't make her body do? But soon she finds that this ancient practice helps her to learn discipline, poise, relaxation, and inner strength. Just what she needs for her performance in the class play. The last book that I read was called Chachaji's Cup. In this book, Neil's great-uncle Chachaji always drinks his tea from the same old cup. Neil wonders why. Turns out the cup has special meaning. It was brought along on a long journey by Chachaji's mother, Neil's great-grandmother, during what is known in India as the partition, a time when India was split into two countries, India and Pakistan. One day Neil is careless and breaks Chachaji's cup. Soon after, Chachaji ends up in the hospital with heart trouble. Neil feels terrible. He mends the special cup and brings it to Chachaji. Thankfully, Chachaji soon mends. Just like the cup, which now sits in a place of honor on the mantelpiece, Chachaji and Neil will go on making memories together. I liked this book because I liked the relationship between Chachaji and Neil. I also like that it brought to light a historical perspective that our students are probably not familiar with. In fact, I was not even familiar with the partition before reading this book. I think it would be interesting to pair this book with some nonfiction text written about the partition so that our students could learn a little bit more about this part of Indian culture and Indian history.